So why is it that having a job is a bad idea today? Well, the world in which we live in, governments and central banks can essentially print money on demand. They can create money from thin air, what is called fiat currency. You need to separate money from time. As soon as you begin to separate money from time, then there is no limit to how much money you can make in a single 24-hour, and also you're making it much more smarter and much more easier, especially in the long term, than you would be as opposed to working for it, exchanging 1 hour for 1 hour's wage. Other thing is that when you say you're working for £10 an hour, £10 an hour means that you can make around £240 a day, provided you work a 24-hour shift. But who really does that? By exchanging your time for money, you are limiting to how much money you can make in a single day. Really, that's not very empowering. That's not really taking control of your own finances. There are two real things you need to do. Well, really there's one. You need to focus on creating assets. Focus on creating assets as opposed to having a job. I value my time, so I'm going to create assets where I'm doing the work once and getting paid forever, as opposed to exchanging my time for money. So there's nothing inherently wrong with having a job. As long as you're happy and competent, nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just not a very smart way to make money in this day and age. A job, there's two funny, interesting things about it. As an acronym, JOB stands for just over broke. Because, people talk about how there's not enough money at the end of the month, stuff like that, and they don't understand that if they had assets or a business or different ways of making money or multiple streams of income, as opposed to just a single stream of income, they could be a lot more well off financially. Another thing is that a job gets in the way of becoming rich. A lot of people mentors of mine used to talk about how they wanted to get rich, so they would get like 3 jobs, and yet they still weren't really getting ahead, because they were limiting themselves to how much money they can make in a day. 1 hour for 1 hour's wage. You're limited. You've got to separate time from money. That's why having a job isn't very smart. It's not very good, because you're exchanging time for money. Separate it. Sever that connection. The world in which we live in, this capitalist world, go out there, understand how it works, understand how it functions, the debt cycles, market cycles, booms and busts, understand capitalism, understand finances. As soon as you begin to understand how the world works, you have the knowledge to be able to carve your piece, or make a dent in the world, create a small business in the world, create create intellectual properties, create something. Understand how the world works, and you can use it for your advantage. Not just working for the world, but you working with the world. And expanding your comfort zone as well. As soon as you start to expand your comfort zone, you believe that you can do more stuff, and that you see yourself doing more things and actively pursuing and creating more things, as opposed to just working for somebody else and not daring to go outside this paradigm of a 9-to-5 job because you don't dare. You've got to really expand your comfort zone, otherwise you'll never do anything. And what kind of underpins all this is you've got to have a desire for it. Look, automation is on its way. Automation is a natural process of business. Automation has been happening for as long as people have been living on agriculture, for as long as civilization is around. Automation is a natural process. What capitalism exists to do is to increase the productivity. Put it this way, if it weren't for tractors, we would still be living in an agrarian economy, meaning we would still be living off the land and hoping that there's enough crop per harvest to feed us. If it weren't for the tractor, well, that tractor means that rather than 10 or 5 people having to harvest this crop, one person can now do it. And it frees up 4 or 9 other people's time, because they can still get fed. It frees up their time to do other things. It frees up their time to innovate, to build, to explore, to create new things in their free time. This is what automation is about. A business being able to do just as much, if not more, with less. They are leveraging machines, they are leveraging robots to do what their employees could not do, or doing it just as well. So that means that those people who are now redundant because of automation, have lost their job because of changing to technology. They now need to innovate and start creating new things. Again, the analogy of the tractor. If it weren't for the tractor, we would still be living in an agrarian society and economy, living off the land, and arguably even still having a feudal system. You can directly correlate the steam industrial revolution as well as the diesel engine with changing the economy and changing the world with regards to the standard of living insofar as per capita GDP and people having more money and more income. With technology and productivity comes new opportunities. Amazon, look at Amazon compared to Walmart. Both of them have roughly same sector where they're like an everything store. They are selling stuff online, or they're e-commerce, or they're a brick and mortar store. But Amazon have like 200,000 employees, and Walmart have around 2 million or so. This change of technology means that new businesses are coming up and disrupting things, changing the status quo. This is what Uber is doing. And this is also what sat-navs are doing as well, where you haven't got to pass that test, the knowledge, as the taxi drivers in London call it, where someone with the right technology and the right kind of car and a sat-nav can jump in, and suddenly they are a taxi driver, making the traditional taxi systems redundant. This is why jobs is a bad idea, because economies change, worlds change, things change, and when things change, you gotta change with it. If you don't change with it, you're left behind, and when you're left behind, you complain, you're frustrated. You've got to change your game. Every 10 or so, 15 years, the world changes in significant ways, and you've got to change with it. If you're still living and working by the same rules as you did 30, 45 odd years ago, then 10, 5, 15 years from now, the world's going to, metaphorically, and speaking from an analogy, it's going to destroy you. Having a job is an old-fashioned business model, exchanging your time for money. When the world, certainly Britain and the States, had what is called gold-backed currency, which meant that, well, gold-backed money, there's a difference between money and currency without going on too much of a tangent. When money was currency, exchanging 1 hour of your time for equivalent of 1 hour's wage was a smart idea, because that money would not really suffer what's called inflation, which means expanding of the currency supply. This business model of having a job 100 or so years ago, 150, 200 years ago, was a smart idea. Smart idea because of technology, because of opportunity, and because barriers to entry to business and barrier to entry to opportunity, as well as the money was valuable back then. Now it's about having assets that put money into your pocket. And the more assets you have, you can replace your income from employment, and the more assets you have that automatically put money into your pocket, you can become what some people call financially free, meaning you haven't got to work in order to pay your bills. The money comes to you because of the systems that you've already created a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. The business or the books, the things you've bought or things you've built are now paying you money, but you don't have to worry about paying off the bills. So this is why having a job is not inherently wrong, it's not morally wrong, it's just from a financial perspective not very smart. That's why it's a bit of a bad idea, because as soon as you're exchanging time for money, you're limited to how much money you can make in a day, and you're subservient to someone else paying you, fulfilling their end of the bargain, and provided they physically can or they want to or whatever, actually paying you the money. But as soon as you take control of your own finances and your own destiny, your own life, and understand how the world works, as soon as you understand that and you're taking action, strong determined action to build your own assets and systems and structure and fund your own lifestyle, then you're truly living. People talk about having a guaranteed income so they have free time to explore their arts. The problem then is, if they do explore the arts, will they be able to do it to the fullest extent? Taking control. That's why having a job is not a very good idea. Plus, also, if you think about it, you get paid £10 an hour and you work 8 hours a day. You've exchanged more or less a third of your day. And if you do that for 30 years, you've more or less exchanged a third of your life by working for somebody else. Ultimately, another entrepreneur's dream. If you're losing if you're working, say, 40, 80 hours a week, you're losing time of your life that you could be spent doing something else. And I saw an article recently talking about how 15% of people's life, they don't do, 15% of your life you spend doing what you enjoy. So take someone who's 100 years old, that means for 15 years of their life they did what they enjoyed. All the rest of the time they were doing something they didn't enjoy. If you exclude things like sleeping and eating, then you're talking about 4/5, something like that of their time potentially of a week, and not doing what not doing what they don't enjoy, or free time where they didn't have the right schedule, whatever, to do what they enjoyed. And you could argue about a good third of that, or a good 3/4 of that was working for somebody else. Just think about it. Do you really want to live your life for 65 odd years, 70 years working for somebody else, where if you just take control, do things what other people won't do, early 20s, early 30s, early 40s, whenever, it's never too late. Colonel Sanders, he was in his 60s before he started KFC. Do you really want to live your life working for somebody else, only then to retire and be grateful for all the time you've spent? It's not really what you want. Do the work that people will not do today, so in the future you can live the life that people can't live. That's the difference. I'm doing what people my age or my generation or whatever you want to say will not do, for their own reasons or whatever. Comfort zone, they're not very competent, whatever. Could be any reason, don't want to, no desire. Nothing wrong with that. I'm doing what people will not do today, so in the future, in the long term, which you might as well play a long-term game anyway, I'm going to live the life people can't live. That's the difference. That's why I believe having a job is a bad idea. Exchanging time for money and working for somebody else's dream. Just take control, learn the right bit of knowledge, and you can build your own destiny, build your own dynasty. So much opportunity nowadays, and the barrier to entry has collapsed. You can start a business almost for free, like that. It's crazy. You just got to learn. Increase your knowledge and expand your comfort zone. Those are the two keys to get the whole thing. And as well as desire, but desire is a little different. Get the whole ball rolling. The world's like oyster. It really is. It really is. You're crazy how much opportunity there is out there. And it's only going to increase. The internet thing is new. It's not been around long enough. There is so much more yet to come. If you thought the changes and disruptions now, if you thought Uber was something crazy, you ain't seen nothing yet. But check out the blog below. If you haven't already, subscribe. Subscribe. There is so much more stuff to come. So much more ingenious, crazy ideas to come. Subscribe. You just got to. Cutting edge stuff here. Subscribe. More stuff on the way. How cool is that?